Just give me some kind of a face. Good morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. How are you this rainy morning? Are you having a rainy morning as well? We are getting the sort of traces. We're lucky we're only getting the traces of Hurricane Ida. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I'm a minute late. I was just rejigging everything. I have a great episode for us today. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode with Teddy. He was so pleased. Thank you to everybody who was on, everybody who wrote. It was such a big deal to him with the situation that he's in, waiting to get into school and all that. It was such a big deal to him to have so many people write to him and to know who he was. Because he really doesn't have any friends. So to him, that was a huge, huge thing that so many people knew his name and all that. It was very nice. Thank you so much. So today I'm gonna do greetings and stuff in a minute, but I just wanted to let you know, today I've got a couple things to talk about. We've got tons of announcements and stuff that I've been neglecting, including #1 bingo. But I have this great article from a Woman's Day magazine in 1961 that has many pages on rug hooking and patterns. So I want to look at that with you. And I also want to look at one of the first things that came up in this month's rug hooking magazine. So we're going to talk about a few things this morning. Let me have a quick look and see who is on today. I think Teddy will be back with me later in the week. Jennifer, Old Tattered Flag, just did a live video recommend a couple of books, maybe ideas for the club. Interesting. Threads of Life by Claire Hunter, Secret Lives of Color by Cassia St. Clair. I've read that one. That one is fantastic. That's a great idea. Threads of Life. Can somebody write that one down? Because I think I lose the thread after we leave. I want to check both of those, actually. I want to check both of those. I don't know if the thread stays. Those are great suggestions. And this morning I announced the book club for this month. So those are going to be great future ones. This month I put the book club at September 30th, and it's a Thursday. I thought that was a little bit different, but I thought let's try like an evening, it's for Eastern Standard Time, evening on a Thursday night. And the book is September book, Going Back to School, Seasonal Kind of a Choice, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Spark. And it has got to be one of the greatest books of all time. But beyond that, one of the great things I think about this book choice is that people can either read the book, listen to the book, or you can watch the movie with Dame Maggie Smith. So any of those things will work. The movie in this case is very close to the book, and you'll be able to follow the conversation and all that. So I think that was a good choice. A couple other things to announce, but first let's see. Anita, they do sound like a great idea. Morning, Anita and Kirsten. Before I forget, Kirsten's patterns, she does fantastic, original, everything she puts out, I say to her, this belongs in a gallery. Kirsten's patterns are on Ribbon Candy Hooking. So have a look. Once we're finished with this video, I'm going to add a link so that you can see, or Kirsten, if you want to put a link into the threads, Kirsten's cats are now on the Ribbon Candy Hooking site as patterns. So that is a very, very nice development because they are so different and they are so good. I can't do anything like what Kirsten does. So it is for so many cat people out there, and I know there's a lot of you, those will be a very good go-to sort of pattern stop. Penny, you're one of those cat people for sure. Good to see you. Lisa, good to see you. I know there is a lot of flooding and it is a bit of a wild day. We'll keep an eye out. I still have that post up on our page, our Facebook page, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, to see. I have not heard from any of our friends in New Orleans yet, and I'm following the news. I know the power's out just about everywhere. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm looking forward to hearing something from our friends in that part of the country. Doreen, good morning. Catherine, good morning. Kira, happy Thursday. Mom logged on. Much rain to come. Got a lot and much to come. What is the size of the Mexican cat mola pattern? The website doesn't say. Very good. Is there a ruler over there? Let me measure it right now, and then I'll add it to the thing. This is the mola pattern. I'm going to be running a few mola classes doing this pattern, either the cat or like a bat or an owl, if you are local to me here. I'm going to make those announcements in a minute. But Jennifer, this pattern is 12 by, let's see, 12 by, just drop the ruler, 12 by 9. So it's not huge. I was thinking about the size of an actual mola. With my patterns, if you always need larger sizes or you want to do something more pillow size or just a full rug size, just let me know. I can bump it up and price it, accordingly. But I'm real happy about this mola. I sent around some flares yesterday to some of the local shops and places where I do classes, typically, if you're anywhere near me, about doing the sugar skulls. Do you remember the pumpkin sugar skulls from last year? Some of those and some new ones. And the Mola. The Mola idea I really like for Halloween, because I know not everybody celebrates Halloween in a crazy, huge way like I do, but I also think there's a great crossover with the Day of the Dead being like the same time frame. All of those colors, all of that sort of Mexican folklore, putting those two things together, I think, is a smart thing. Suze, good morning. Linda B, good morning. Little umbrella with all those raindrops. Beverly, good morning. It's the start of apple picking time. Absolutely. Happy September, everybody. Happy September. The September pattern will be out hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to try to finish hooking it tonight. It is such a nice pattern, particularly for teachers, remembering teachers, and I'm going to do a whole thing on that tomorrow. So I am almost there with that. It's just, it's taking some time, as you can imagine. I'm juggling a few little projects. Cynthia, good morning. And April, good morning. Chrissy, good morning. To all of our friends. Janice, good, you're taking a break from canning tomatoes. You're always busy doing things like that. That is so nice. Oh, thanks, Penny. I'm reading your comments. Lisa says, I have an article from the 1970s on rug hooking to send. Please send it. That would be amazing, Lisa. Everything you send me is great. I have to do those Rhyttermere. I was going to do a Rhyttermere episode today, and I switched it out. So maybe tomorrow I'll do a Rhyttermere. Tomorrow's Thursday. But thank you so much. Joy, good morning. Good to see you. Cindy, lots of buddies on today. Lots of buddies. Yeah, her cats are great. She is just a cat master. So I can't believe I forgot on Monday and Tuesday to tell you that Bingo Night is Friday. We talked about it like the last 2 weeks, and then I forgot to say it out loud. Bingo Night is this coming Friday, and for those of you who are new to the channel and new to Bingo Night, I will just remind you there is a link on the Facebook group, and I'll also put that link into this video as soon as I'm finished with this video, and I'll put a link to the cat Mola into this video, the description part. So Bingo Night is on Friday, and the theme this month, thank you, Kira, is antique rugs. So we're looking at a lot of older rugs. We're doing the abbreviated card, the smaller card that's 16 calls, so it doesn't last quite as long. We're looking at a show that's about an hour to an hour and a half on Friday night, Bingo Night, 7 p.m. So you can use that link on Ribbon Candy Hooking or on the Facebook group to buy the cards, which are $3 each. There are 12 different cards, and if you buy multiple cards, you will not be sent duplicates, right? You will, if you buy 12 cards, you'll have 12 different cards. Whatever you can handle in terms of marking off. And we play a version of bingo called Blackout. So it's not a directional bingo. You actually need to cross off every call on your card to call bingo and win. Now, the cards are sent to you via the email address that you bought them on. So sometimes it's different than the one you normally look at, because sometimes you buy them from work. But wherever they are, you know, wherever you bought them from, they get sent to, and then you print them out for Friday night and just get ready to cross off the crosses as I make the calls. So that is coming up. And then we pool the pot. I don't keep any of it. All of the money that is sold, $3 a ticket, gets divided up by the winners, and then you will get sent a gift certificate to the Ribbon Candy Hooking store, where you can buy patterns or wool or yarn or tools, supplies, backing, anything you want. So that is coming up this Friday night. I'm also doing a special on Labor Day, so let's come to that in just a minute. Also, just quickly announcing, if you are local to me here, Madison, Connecticut at Mad Wool, September 19th, I'm running the Starry Night Bingo class. September 30th, I've already said, is our book night. That is a Thursday. October 3rd, I'm going back to Madison Wool to do Sugar Skulls. October 16th, I'm in Vermont at Mad River Fibers to run the mix half punch, half rug hooking class for beginners and seasoned, you know, hobbyists alike. And then September 26th, I'm going to be announcing that class I was telling you about. It's not the monthly dye class. I'm still working on that. It's an all tie-dye class. So it's going to be a very specific class I'm going to run twice a year. Everybody's going to get 4 long quarters of door wool and 12 bottles of the hairdresser squirt bottles already filled with dye. So you get 12 colors in 12 bottles that you just add water to. And we are going to do 4 different seasonal tie-dyes that you can use for your hooking, for applique, for whatever you want. But they come out great for backgrounds because they're so patterned and busy. And it comes with synthropol, citric acid, twine, elastics, everything you need to do tie-dye with me. It's a shorter class at 3 hours, and we're doing 4 pieces. It's a bit complicated doing the tie-dye, so we're going to do different kinds of tie-dye, but it's going to be a very fun class, and you're going to end up with a full yard of door wool all dyed for your projects over the winter, right? So that's good. And then, yet there's more. Wait. So I just want to let people know who are on the Facebook group, and if you are not, please send me an email at ribboncandyhooking.com. There is a part 2 that was announced today for people who want to do the rug swap that Jean Coates plans, the 6-inch rug swap. The last one just ended. We all sent and or received our rugs. Yesterday was the deadline to send. I got mine in the day before. That's how bad I am. But this is rug hooking swap number 2. Just a 6-inch small piece, like a rug mug, anything that anything that you want to make that you send to the person you're assigned to. So if that sounds good to you, I forget when the deadline is. If somebody knows, please put it in the comments. Hey Dave, hey Donna. Please put it in the comments. Oh, reading Louise Penny, Glass House. Recommend. Louise Penny is one of my favorite writers of all time. I have read all of her books up to date. Well, all of the mystery series. I'm blanking out on his name right now, The Great Detective. But I absolutely love Louise Penny. Super, super, super great Canadian writer. 3 Pines, right? That's the 3 Pines series. Kirsten says, I recommend attending whether you buy. Oh, right. Thank you, Kirsten. So yeah, whether you buy bingo cards or not, or you want to play, it's just a fun night of bingo where we look at a bunch of different rugs, talk about them, look at them, and play at the same time. So it's a great commentary night besides being a game. It's a fun Friday night. So that new rug exchange is happening, and if you are not on Facebook, if you are not a Facebook person, just write to me at ribboncandyhooking.com, and I'll forward your information to Jean so that you can participate in that rug exchange. The deadline is usually several months away, so it's not like it's going to creep up on you. Kirsten's cats, I mentioned that, so I will get up on the website today. The Mola is already there. I'll also put up the 3 Maud Lewis designs that I did. I'm still working on mine, but I'll put those up because I keep getting questions about them, so I don't want to hold you up because I'm slow. And also the Frida design that I showed you yesterday, and there's more Frida designs to come. I also wanted to say that for people who are hooking designs off Ribbon Candy Hooking, because we are a new company and we are a new group, we are huge, but we're new. And I'm having a lot of growing pains in weird directions. So if you have a pattern of mine that you have hooked, I'm going to put up a formal note on ribboncandyhooking.com that says, if you are the first one to hook one of my patterns, and it's not there as a hooked example, then you will get 50% off your next pattern, because I could really use those images to put on the website to show the image hooked. Whether you do it as a kit or you do your own color, it doesn't matter. If it's one of my patterns, I would love to see it, and you will get 50% off your next pattern, because it helps me a lot to have lots of different versions of all of those patterns up on the website for people to get inspiration. Cindy loves Louise Penny's books too. They are so good. Gamesh. Is it Gamesh? See, that's just what happens when you're crazy. Chill. Good to see you. You've been re-listening to them. They are great. They are great. So I think that's it for now. Now, the only other thing I wanted to tell you, something I want to start the episode out with. So, Rug Cooking Magazine, did yours come this month? I love it when it comes. Let's look at the centerfold as if this were Playboy magazine. Let's go straight to the centerfold and see what we got. This is what we got. Oh my gosh, we have 2, Maple Leaf and Maple Leaf. So it looks like, if you haven't gotten yours yet, I know people in Canada, you wait a lot longer. Pulling it right out here, it's going to be these 2 images this month, the maple leaves. And those are quite pretty, right? Oh, thanks, Kira. Your carbuncle pond is better than mine, so I'm definitely using yours. So maple leaf is the center thing. I want to spend some time, maybe tomorrow or the next day. There's some nice 3-dimensional stuff. We'll look at the issue properly, as we always do. But what I wanted to bring to light was way at the beginning of the book. I didn't even get into the issue. I was looking first at page 1, the mailbox, you know, the very first sort of feature that they do. And I read this. I'm going to read it to you because I'm going to link this to our special Labor Day. We're going to have an extended Labor Day episode this coming Monday for Labor Day, right? So the mailbox, this is the letter that was in the mailbox. It's from La Racheritas, and I'm sure I'm saying that terribly. Can You Help is the name of it. And it said, many of us want to assist those in need during this troubled time, but where to help? I'm going to paraphrase here. 16 women, La Rancheritas, and their families in Gonzales, Mexico, need financial assistance. They are a collective, Mexico's only rug hooking collective, who for the past 20 plus years have been making rugs, selling rugs, the same kind of thing that we did with the sort of Maya women in Guatemala a while back. This is a group in Mexico that I only recently became aware of. And what's interesting about this, I'm not going to read the whole article, but letter, but it's from Charlotte Bell, and she's talking about how everybody's been affected by 2020 and 2021, of course. And she's talking about how they could use a little bit of help. She just wants to bring awareness to their group, to the great work that they do as a group of rug hookers who are abroad. And isn't it exciting when we hear about groups who are in other places? We tend to think of rug hooking as a solely North American thing. Of course, it's Mexico, so it's not a stretch there. But you know what I mean. It's nice to know when people in different places are doing hooking in a slightly different style. And this group does such a fantastic sort of folky style. The thing is, when I saw that it was signed by Charlotte Bell, I remembered that last week at my bedtimes, my bedside table book was this book that I found on eBay that I'd never seen before called Racheritas. And it was about life in Mexico, Charlotte Bell going down sort of on a regular basis kind of a thing, getting to know the people who are there, the group of rug hookers. And she uses like dozens and dozens tons of illustrations of hooked rugs that they'd made to illustrate their daily life. And it is such a beautiful book that I've been wanting to do it on Coffee Time, and I just haven't found the time yet. I wanted it to be a long episode, Rich Roots. So what I'm going to do, because this is the letter by Charlotte Bell, and she's referring to the women, La Rancheritas, who hook, it's called Rug Hooking Project, in Mexico. So this is what I want to do on Monday. I want to cover the book in an extended episode because it is so beautiful. It'll be a lot about their life there and a lot of looking at these beautiful rugs that they're hooking. And then I'm going to plan a time, and I will let you know before it comes, when Charlotte Bell will actually log on with us at a Zoom call after we do the Rich Roots episode for Labor Day, and you'll be able to ask her questions about these women. I called her yesterday to order some of the rugs on their website. And again, all of this is to come on Monday. So I'm going to post all this information and post in our Facebook group a bunch of the rugs that are available that these women have been hooking. And they are so beautiful, and they are such a bargain. They are proper folk art. So I called Charlotte yesterday to order some of these rugs. I want to try to support them. Donations, sales, they sell rugs, they sell bags, they do a lot of different things. I called her and got to speak to her in person, and she was telling me such beautiful stories about these women. One of the rugs that I ordered had a lot of Spanish text on it that I couldn't quite translate myself. And she helped me with the translation of it. And then she told a beautiful story about the woman who hooked it. And I thought, we could use some of this, all of us, right? So we're going to set up sort of after, we'll figure out time-wise, after I run that Rich Roots episode as an extended episode, same time, noon Monday for Coffee Time, but just longer. Then I will give you a date by then when there will be a Zoom call if you want to log on and hear more about this group of rug hooking women in Mexico from Charlotte Bell, who knows them all personally. So I thought, isn't that going to be a great thing? So when you open up your copy of Rug Hooking Magazine, again, it's the mailbox right on one of the first pages where she doesn't mention Rich Roots in the article, but that is the book that goes with it, Rich Roots. I'll post a link to that too. It's on Amazon, but I will be promoting that a lot because I do want to help out this group as much as possible, right? Because these truly are beautiful, beautiful rugs. So let me show you what I got from eBay. Where did I put it? Right here. Interesting things that you find. Oh, Catherine says, my people rug hook. I'm such a happy Mexican. Very nice. That is, these are such different rugs. They're very different than the rugs that the Maya women do. In subject, everything about them was different. And Charlotte also said, because a couple of the rugs that I saw that I liked had been sold because of this Rug Hooking Magazine, right? So, get on it, right? But she said not to panic because any of the designs that they do, they can do again. So if you love a design and you go, oh, I wish I got that design, it can be done again. And I have to say there are some very sort of very traditional Mexican designs. There are beautiful designs with, I got one of a burro. lots of animals, birds, lots of religious designs, which I also really liked. You don't see that a lot, and they are just gorgeous. So this is a huge to be continued for us. Be looking out on the Ribbon Candy hooking page. I want to post the rugs for Charlotte so you can see, and I'll give you the information to get in touch directly with her if you're interested in any of them. But definitely put the Labor Day extended episode of Coffee Club, we're now saying Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Coffee Club, onto your calendar, because I will be on for a good spell on Monday morning with you. So I found in the mail, I ordered from eBay. I'm always looking on eBay for these interesting things. This great article from Women's Day Magazine, 1961. I don't know what month it is. I'll let you know if it evolves. It was kind of cut out of the magazine, so I don't have the whole magazine. It was sent in an envelope, perfect condition, just tons of patterns and this article. And it just made me realize and remember for the umpteenth time in one day how little we hear about rug hooking now. Of course, we have our ATHA magazines and our rug hooking magazines, but you just do not open Women's Day or any day magazine and find a huge feature that's about more than 20 pages long on rug hooking, right? That just doesn't exist. Let's bring that back. Put it right in the front of crafts. So this article is really, it ends with a sort of quilting thing that is interesting for quilters, but it goes into hooking. And I'm going to try to show you as many images as I can. Again, it was cut from a magazine. Some of these are like fairly dated looking. Again, 1961. We're coming out of that sort of mid-century look. We are squarely in the Pearl McGowan era. We are looking at rugs with typical, sort of scroll designs and very heavy borders, scrolls and flowers predominating. There are some great exceptions in this article, but basically it's a great article about hooking, but it's a little bit dated because since 1961 we have learned so much about the rug hooking timeline, and scholars and hobbyists and people who are involved in rug hooking have figured out in the meantime that there is a huge separation between rugs that are made using a hook or a punch and rugs that are made using a needle. So 1961, we still fall into that category of time in class where we still think of rugs that are made with a needle as being hooked rugs. And we know that there is a very distinct separation at this point. But when you read this long history, it's beautifully written, but there is a long history about, for example, I'll start it out for you. Hooking is an old needle craft. That's the first line of the article. And it's certainly not a needle craft. It's not a needle. A needle is defined by the eye of the needle, right, that you're pulling something through. And we are using hooks. So just academic distinction, but obviously a important one, right? So they talk a little bit about how we're using this primitive tool back to the bent nail that looks a little like a shepherd's crook. She talks a little bit about Stone Age men. Colonial women having invented the craft, which of course they didn't, but they were sewing rugs with a needle, right? Just not hooking rugs yet. We're not seeing hooked rugs until the sort of 1830s, 1840s period. So it is a long history, and some of it needs to be sort of updated, but it is a moment in time, and there is a huge crossover in this article between needle hooking and rug hooking, needle crafts and rug hooking. So having said that, it's a grain of salt kind of an article. But what this article does is it highlights quite a few rugs that are in prominent places that we just never see. For example, this rug is an Edward Frost design that is at the Rochester Memorial Art Gallery in Rochester, New York. I don't even know if this place still exists. I hope so. But this is a rug that they have had in their collection. It's so important to find these old articles because this is the rug. It's called Wreath of Roses by Edward Sands Frost. It's important to find these articles because when you find something like this, for example, if you live near Rochester, New York, it's worth writing to the museum if they are still there and saying, listen, do you still have this rug? Is it still part of the collection? Is it still on display? And if not, can I come and see it and take a photo of it? All kinds of photos of it. Post them in our group so we can look at it closely. What can we find out about the rug? What size is it hooked in? What does the back look like? We already know who the designer was. It's Edward Sands Frost. But questions like this, so many of these small house museums, historical societies, and local museums have important rugs. And they put them away, because they rotate their collection. And with rug hooking being not as popular and as forefront as I wish it was, and I'm sure you do too, they get put in the back room and they get forgotten about for decades. So it's so nice to see some of these rugs pop up, and it's worth asking in your local places if they have any hooked rugs in their collection that we could look at, right? And just take as many photographs as you can, post them or send them so we can all look at them together. Makes us aware of where certain rugs are. For example, yesterday when we did that, I think, great episode of Coffee Club with Teddy, and we unrolled that rug, Geraldo Rivera style, I was hoping it was an Abenaki. It was a Garrett. So I didn't even think of that as a possibility. I'm very happy that it was, because you know how much I love Garrett Blue Nose patterns. And then luckily, Mandy wrote to me from Canada. We write back and forth quite a bit at the Rug Hooking Guild in Nova Scotia. She has ties there too, and she was able, we're both members there, she was able to find that particular pattern. I think it was number 4016, because all the Garrett patterns go by number, not name. She was able to find that exact pattern in the catalog of geometrics, and there's not a lot. There was maybe between 5 and 10 geometrics in the whole Garrett catalog. So it's so amazing that this was a Garrett, because there's not a lot of geometrics. Didn't even occur to me that it might be. Not at all sort of in keeping with their general style. So that was exciting. So now I can send that image of my rug that I have to the Guild in Nova Scotia in case they want to use the color image. It's only partially done, but it's important to know that that pattern exists on burlap, and I have it. It's nice to know who has other things too. So for example, this hearth rug depicting a bright orange-red farmhouse against snow. It says the golden beige tree is the same color. This is going to be a black and white picture as the outside border. This is also at the Rochester Museum of Arts and Sciences, it says this time, in Rochester, New York. It says, note the big red poinsettia on the side. It does not say in this case whose pattern this is. Maybe somebody recognizes it, but again, they're calling the place by a different name, but I'm guessing it's still the Rochester Museum. And they at one point had at least 2 beautiful and important hooked rugs that would be nice to know more about. And then it shows, which one is this? Hooked bed rug. Let's do an episode on bed rugs next week for sure. That's a subject I keep meaning to tackle because it's a big one. Let's do that next Tuesday right after our blowout Labor Day show. So, the article talks a little bit about Molly Stark, the Bennington, you know, the American Revolution, and probably even talking about, come on, Ethan Allen. Gosh, that guy. So this is a hooked bed rug made by Molly Stark. Right, she's one of the great female players in the American Revolution. Great heroine, brave heroine. 1773. So this would have been made with a needle, but nonetheless, crossover needlework, hooking work, right? Carnations, berries, and vines are hooked onto a coarse woolen homespun blanket and then sheared. So this is a clipped rug by Molly Stark. In this article, I'll just pull back a little bit. You know, this, I would even question, I would love to know more about this rug. I would even question whether this was dyed with natural dyes, because it's very monochromatic, isn't it? It doesn't look so much like a thrifty rug because it's all kind of the same colors. Super interesting. That is at the Museum of the Daughters of the American Revolution in Washington, D.C. That is the #1 organization that I wish that I could belong to. I would just be lapping it up if I could be part of that, but I don't have that lineage so far. Here's some other cute ones. This is at the Brooklyn Museum, Brooklyn, New York, an antique table mat. I didn't have time before this episode to see whether all of these places still exist. But isn't that sweet? Like a little potted plant, looks like geraniums or something. 2 little birds, super, super simple. The Brooklyn Museum in Brooklyn, New York. The bottom one is a parlor rug with a floral and geometric border, so obviously does not have a name, or it has not been identified. I think we could identify this because it certainly looks like a commercial pattern. Oh, maybe not if it's made in 1850. I don't know. Chester County Historical Society, Westchester, Pennsylvania. I don't know. That doesn't ring quite right to me. This certainly looks like a commercial pattern, although it's a large rug. I'm not sure that I would go along with 1850 on that one. But Lisa, you're in Pennsylvania. Is this place anywhere near you? I'd love to find out more about that rug. I mean, it's certainly that sort of the bamboo border is in keeping with the 1850s, right, the early Victorian period, but it looks more like a revival pattern because it has that stamp, the sort of Pearl McGowan era stamp about it. And of course, she used those bamboo borders constantly during the 1950s. So that is a question mark in my mind. Now, which one is this? This is a garden bouquet in Washington Irving's home, Sleepy Hollow, in Tarrytown, New York. That's where I went to college the first time, at Marymount in Tarrytown. I think that campus closed, all-girls school. Let me show you this one. You know, I have been to Sleepy Hollow, and I went years ago when I was like, in my early 20s. I was not a rug hooker. It's this big one here with the two pieces, Sleepy Hollow. What a fun place. Anita says, what are you guys talking about? Oh, yeah, you can. I'm a member of the Rug Hooking Guild in Nova Scotia. You absolutely can. I think it's like $50, $55. And then you're able to buy the whole catalog of Garrett Bluenose patterns. And you receive it as like a downloadable file. So it's not a printed book. But, in terms of scholarship and research, if you are a person who feels you need every Bluenose pattern ever, it's great to buy the book from the Guild. They're two separate things, buying the book and joining the Guild. I joined the Guild because I wanted to support what they do, and because the teaching branch of the Guild in Nova Scotia bought those patterns. And I don't know anything about the details of that transaction, but I'm guessing it wasn't cheap. And I want to try to sort of financially support them, because that was an important thing that they did, buying those patterns and saving those patterns after kind of a long family sort of legal thing with ownership of those patterns, where the patterns were in limbo and unavailable for quite a long time. So if you want to support them too, you can absolutely join. Now this is a cute one, a hearth rug, New England. It's at the New Hampshire Historical Society. I'm running a little bit over, in Concord, New Hampshire. Have a look at this one. Anybody in New Hampshire able to go check this one out? That really is beautiful. That, again, definitely looks like a commercial pattern to me. But it could be an early pattern. It could be a Frost pattern. It could be a Garrett pattern. This one up here. So the Historical Society in Concord, New Hampshire. This bottom one, also a New Hampshire Historical Society. It doesn't say where. So I'm thinking it might be the same place. Beautiful geometric hooked rug, mid-century it says. And then I'm going to show you this one on top. Another one from the Rochester. So Rochester and Concord, New Hampshire are two of the places in Brooklyn. This is the third one we're seeing from Rochester, New York, right? That museum. And then this one down here is the geometric. That's in New Hampshire. Those are definitely 2 hours. That's a long way away. I'll check it out when I come your way, Lisa. I want to check it out because, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm thinking if these places still exist and they had several rugs, even one or two rugs, chances are they had more, right? A lot more. So then the article goes into how to hook. And it really is, I love these kinds of accounts of how to hook. It shows you what a hook looks like, and it tells you in text, not in illustrations, about how to pull loops through. And things like this. This is the only illustration. I just like that. I think we've gotten so far away from just, here's a hook, here's the backing, you pull up a loop, practice a while. It's frustrating at the beginning. Everybody hopes that you get it sooner rather than later, but sometimes it's later. Just keep trying. We've gotten so far away of that in terms of instruction. Everybody thinks that you need this massive amount of learning and schooling to be able to pick up a hook and start hooking. These magazines remind us you're really just pulling loops through backing, right? You can get different sizes of backing, you can get different materials, you can mix up all of the variables, but at the end of the day, you're pulling loops through backing. So it's funny when these magazines talk about it in that very sort of black and white, cut and dry way. It's very abrupt teaching. This is another great one on top. Another huge floor size one. That one was at the Henry Ford Museum. So, they still have the Edward Sands Frost stencils, too. They are the sort of stewards of that collection at this moment. They're there. Aubusson patterned rug covering a profusion of flowers bordered with graceful scrolls. See, it says hooked rug about 1835. I would definitely disagree I would absolutely disagree with that. I would bet crazy amounts of money that is not a good date. But again, this magazine came out in 1861. I bet even the Henry Ford Museum has updated that date. And then there are other ones that they're not showing us where they come from. But this is a cute one, Bengal tiger. This looks like Oh gosh, is that a sans frost? I don't think that's a sans frost. That's not the one either. That's at Beauport. We're seeing a lot of tigers. Can anybody identify this one here? There's no attribution at all. And this one here is the one that I used for the thumbnail. This is the one that we now call Putnam Historical, or Putnam Historic. No, it's not. No, that one's the one with the cat. This is, this one was put out by Cushing, and I don't know what the copyright situation is because it's a historic rug. It has a name. It's not Putnam Historic. They have that one too. But in this magazine, they're calling this image, and I know you've seen it if you've been hooking a while, the little hen going to school, hen with basket of eggs. So that's what they were calling it originally. I know it has a better name than that now, but I've seen this rug done so many times with people putting different color schoolhouse, the word school on the roof, different color flags for whatever your background is, sometimes a school bag, sometimes a basket with eggs. I've seen it done with so many different variations. Such a cool, it's such a cool pattern. It's a nice historic pattern, which makes me think it's copyright free. I mean, it's an old pattern. I don't know at this moment. You'd have to follow that through. Magazines like this used to come with stuff like this, gridded out, so you could blow it up to whatever size you want. Bengal tiger this is. We just don't see this anymore. This magazine came with, and if I can figure out what month it is, I'll let you know, just in case you want to get it. This whole huge fold out. It's like a giant mini newspaper of all of these patterns, right? I mean, it's just amazing. And it's all gridded out so that you could, for example, here's Wreath of Roses that we looked at the beginning. You could blow it up and do it in whatever colors you want. You'd love to hook that chicken. Let me post something about it on the Facebook group when I leave, because I know Donna has it at Whispering Hill, which doesn't probably help, but I'm pretty sure Cushing has. I know Donna has Putnam Historic. I was crossing those two because they're both the same age and they're both sort of similar kind of sampler designs, just random, very random. If anybody knows anything about that hen chicken, write it here, but otherwise I'll follow up on that for sure, Beverly, and I'll post it in our Facebook group later, because I know I've seen it in many places recently. So, yeah, it's a great one to hook. And again, things like this mare and foal, right? I mean, how great is this? It's many pages. Bengal tigers in there. And then this giant one, the parlor rug that they said was from 1820 or something, and I said, I don't think so, but it's still beautiful. So good. Look at this one here. I'll show you this and then we'll close. Look at this little one here at the bottom, this busy one. Sorry. I'm flapping it up. How cool is that? I mean, you just love seeing those, and then where's the finished one of it? Here it is. See, it's tall ways there. But man, what an article. What an article. I'll see what I can do with this. I'll see if I can post some of these images in the Facebook group. Because, these are just great. And these historic rugs, with the exception of the chicken, that's the only one I worry about, because I don't know if somehow it could be claimed it is a historic pattern with no sort of authorship or ownership in terms of the person who designed it. But it has been popular through the years, so that's the one that worries me. All of these others that are just old patterns, I would worry less about copying, except that I think there are a lot of misattributions in this article being 1961. I really think there are. They've attributed one Frost, but I'm feeling like there might be others here that are Frost patterns or heirloom patterns or possibly Garrett patterns. So I'm going to do a little more research when I have more time on the patterns in this catalog. If there are patterns in here that I can't attribute to anything, I will post the images on our Facebook page and put them up as a blog in Ribbon Candy Hooking so that you can look at them too. And I'll take some photos of this article to post, because it really is a great article. And unless we share it and look at it and look at these images, it's going to be lost. And it might be that you look at one of these images and you say, I'm in Rochester, New York. I'm going to go and check out those 3 or 4 rugs that they used to have, see what the status is. Thank you. Thumbs up, please. I like the tiger too, Lisa. There's at least 3 really well-known tigers out there. And this came with these 2 little things I forgot about. We'll look at these another day. Painting with Putnam Fadeless Dies. It's got quite a few patterns on the back too, and on the inside it's a little fold out. Let's look at that on a different episode. And then Roses from Rags with Putnam Dies, right? These 2 little, this is the era where they're really talking about and trying to sell rug hooking, very, very fine cut rug hooking, very shade driven hooking style. They're trying to really sell that with the dyes, right? Part and parcel, like hooking a rug automatically pre-assumes the idea that you want tons of shading, right? And you're making a rug that looks just like this. This is the era of that. But there's still, aside from that, if you don't hook in this style, they're still interesting and full of ideas. They're advertisements, right? So they're very slanted, but they're interesting. So we'll look at this someday when we do a dye episode in the near future. I'll put these somewhere special. We can look at those later, talk about those another time. Let me see if I missed anything. Burnt orange and blue seem to pop on all of these rugs. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're getting into that post-mid-century palette, heading toward the 70s, and all those bright colors, the Summer of Love colors, not yet. But we're getting toward those bright colors, which really is such a change. Moving away from, the 1950s and those kinds of like dusty rose, the really subdued, like sort of teals, the colors that were popular again in the 1980s, right? The sort of wood rose color, the spice brown, the mummy brown. We're getting away from those and heading toward bright colors again. And it is interesting that whether you're a historian or you follow pop culture at all, when you look at a rug that you start to see these bright colors again in these traditional compositions, you know that you're looking at a late 50s, early 60s rug, because you're looking at a perfect cross between the old-time sort of patterns, the traditional patterns, and the new colors. So it's just so interesting to look at. The more rugs, the better, right? And the more information we share, the better. If you have time, fun facts, if you have time, check your local historical societies, historic houses. Just give them a call or an email if you have any time at all. Say, I'm just wondering, do you have any hooked rugs in your collection? They might write back and say they do, and maybe it turns out to be a latch rug or a braided rug, and still interesting and exciting. But you never know. More times, I do this locally. More times than not, people will write back and say, I do have some hooked rugs. They're in the attic. We haven't had them out for years. And there's a great opportunity, if you're in a position where you're interested and want to go, either pass the information on so we know where the rugs are, or go, find out what you can find, and then share it with the rest of the group. That way we can put our feelers out all over, not just the country, but the world, and try to find where these rugs are and find good examples for our future sort of encyclopedia of every pattern design that we can ever place. That is going to be my lifetime project, is trying to assign patterns to makers, designers, artists, even small companies, right? Trying to assign as many of those as we can in our lifetime to get that catalog in place for future generations of not just rug hookers, but artists, right? So anyway, there's an idea, there's a project. Your head is spinning. Not too much, I hope. Well, it was so good to see you today. And so tomorrow is Thursday. I think I'm trying to figure out if I should Zoom. Let's Zoom tomorrow. Let's just Zoom tomorrow. I'm going to Zoom for 1 hour. Or when I Zoom, I always stay on for like 3 hours because it's fun. And I am trying to catch up and move forward with like fairs and teaching and stuff. But I will hook for an hour because I could use the hooking time. Let's do our Zoom tomorrow at noon, and I will post the Zoom information in this call. We will Zoom from 12 to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And then I want to remind you, Friday night is our bingo night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get your card on Ribbon Candy Hooking on the Facebook page. There's a link. I'm going to post the link in here. And then don't forget, on Monday, I'm not taking a break. I'm going to do an extended episode on the rug hooking project, the La Racheritas group of Mexican women, and the book Rich Roots that accompanies it by Charlotte Bell. So that is coming up. All of those things are coming up. Hey, I will see you soon, hopefully tomorrow at Zoom. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Take care.